You are listening to Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda. On this episode, I am delighted to welcome my friend Zack Shadle. Zack is the bassist and one of two vocalists for the band Del Paxton from Buffalo, New York. Their 2023 record, Auto Locator, is my favorite record of 2023. If you don't know what Del Paxton sounds like, here is a bit of their song Up With a Twist from Auto Locator. In addition to being one of my friends here in Buffalo, Zack is also a huge propaganda fan, and when we recorded this episode, he showed up at my house wearing a Catastrophic Break with Consensus Reality t-shirt. On this episode, we discuss the history of Del Paxton, the intrigue of trio band lineups, his love of propaganda, and some details on what he loves about Duplicate Keys Icaro, Note to Self, and Things I Like. A thing I like is this conversation with Zack Shadle from Del Paxton. Enjoy. Zack Shadle, welcome to the House of Unscripted Moments, a podcast about propaganda.
Thank you for having me here. It's great to be where all the magic, all the unscripted moments, magic happens.
Here it is, my wood-paneled living room. You were at my housewarming party that I had a while back.
I was. That was a good time. I love the wood paneling back here. It really is as though we're in a different decade.
I know, like the way that I describe this living room to people is that it feels like I'm in a mid to late 1970s basement, but I'm above ground.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
And you were at the party, so, we're going to talk all kinds of stuff about propaganda and failed states, but you were at the party that my friend Tom made this Perler Beads cover of failed states just as a housewarming present.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm looking at it right now.
And, he's done a ton of them. He's made tons of these Perler bead things, but it's a really cool portrait, and it was one of the most amazing housewarming presents imaginable. I have no idea how long that took him. I'm sure many hours, but you got to meet Tom that night, right, at that party?
I did, yeah. I didn't talk to him a whole bunch, but I remember seeing these things. He must be a big fan of the band, right?
Huge. Yeah, he listens to the podcast. So hi, Tom, if you hear this.
Yeah, hi, Tom.
Thank you for the amazing housewarming present. I'll have to post up another picture of this on social media. I think I did quite a while back, and it's got like 500 Instagram likes or something like that. Like Tom's, he's a Perler bead magician, and I'm so lucky to have this hanging on the wall in my house every day. It means a lot.
Yeah, love it.
Well, Zack, why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners out there a little bit about who you are, what you do, and just kind of give a little introduction to everybody.
Sure. I'm Zack. I suppose the reason I've been invited on the podcast,
besides being my friend,
because we're buds.
Yeah.
I play in a band called Del Paxton from Buffalo. We're not really like a punk band per se. We're kind of like a more emo-y band.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to think we have some amount of like punk ethos and try not to be wieners too much.
Well, Zack, I'm going to embarrass you because your new record, Auto Locator, which just came out very recently. What was the official release date? Do you remember?
October 6th.
2023.
Yeah.
This is my album of the year. And I've tried to continue telling people to scope this record out, but I absolutely love this record. And we've talked about this so many times, but I'm a huge Mock Orange fan from Lobster Records. Way back in the day, like Nines and Sixes was like an album that busted me out of just listening to like Strung Out and Bad Religion like all of the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was a record that I saw them live and I bought the album and I could not believe the drummer at that show. Watching him was just like a revelation for me. And so your band, whenever I first heard you on this record, All Day, Every Day, All Night, which I've got right here, I just couldn't believe that I was hearing like Buffalo's Mock Orange. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's funny you say that. I would say Mock Orange has got to be, if you asked all three of us what our biggest band influence is, I think all three of us would probably say Mock Orange. So that's funny. That's not a surprise, I suppose.
Do you have a favorite Mock Orange record? Mine's obviously Nines and Sixes. Like, because I just said that, and I'm obsessed with that record. To this day, Window Shopping is just like an all-time banger for me. But what about you? Do you have a favorite Mock Orange record while we're on the topic? Because I've never talked about Mock Orange on this podcast, and I'm like totally going down that road right now.
That's great. I'm happy to be the first. I don't know. I feel like the right answer is probably Nines and Sixes. But let me give another. I don't know. It's tough to say. There so many of them are so great, but just to name one as a favorite on the spot, I'll say the record play.
The second one.
The second one. I know that they're a lot different. They're a lot different in the way they were recorded. I think Nines and Sixes, there's like a funny story about how it was recorded. Basically, the band flew out to California to record this LP for Lobster Records, and they basically did it all live. And I want to say they recorded the first song in one take. It was just like, the engineer hit record and was like, "Oh, you guys want to warm up or do anything like that?" And they ran through the song and it was just boom. It was like, and that was it.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Okay, so tell me a little bit about Auto Locator. Like, what is, some of your favorite like memories and thoughts about this record that is still brand new, but is my record of the year? I absolutely love it.
Auto Locator. So our records are, like kind of just the culmination of, we get together once or twice a week to, jam on new song ideas and kind of very gradually put these songs together. So maybe over the course of a year and a half, the pattern seems to be that we'll have enough material to kind of go in the studio and put it into kind of a cohesive project. Auto Locator, I guess, would have been the culmination of songs we worked on from, say, like 2019 to 2021. So our second LP, we went to Trumansburg, New York to record this record at a place called Sunwood Studios.
Yeah, the pictures were great.
Trumansburg is the small town in central New York, just outside of Ithaca, New York.
Cool.
That I and our drummer Greg are both from. We both grew up in that little town there. So we recorded with our buddy Chris Ploss, who we went to high school with, and old friend of ours, and he'd made this studio in the loft of a barn on his property. The whole thing, it's a cool place. The whole thing is solar powered. So he's got these solar panels on the roof.
Nice.
And kind of just, built it with his bare hands.
That powers the studio? The solar panels?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a carbon neutral sort of recording space?
I guess you could say so, yeah. Yeah. And so we recorded to tape, 16 tracks. So we kind of, with this record, had wanted to approach it with a lot of intentionality. Like with the, having 16 tracks is kind of, limiting yourself on purpose. Like we, aside from the other reasons you like to record to tape, to have that kind of warm analog sound and it was also cool to only have 16 tracks to kind of like try to figure out like how economical you want to be. Like
what serves the song?
Right.
Yeah.
Like in the Pro Tools era, the digital recording era, you could have millions of
limitless
tracks if you want.
If your computer can actually run all that.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, it was cool. You know, we actually ran into like little dilemmas, like, oh, we have this idea, we want to put a vocal harmony here, or do you want to put a percussion, like an auxiliary percussion track here? You have to choose one because there's only room for one of those. So it was cool. I think that setting that those parameters kind of forced us to like make a lot of like kind of hard decisions on what we were and weren't going to lay down.
Nice. You mentioned Greg McClure.
Mm-hmm.
I love seeing your band because I can't look away from Greg while he's playing.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about what makes Greg kind of special, because as a drummer, like seeing a drummer like Greg, he clicks with me as like a music appreciator who knows my musical performance limits, and he is so far beyond anything that I ever played drum-wise. So to me, he's really a special part of the equation. And I'm wondering if you can speak a little bit to the importance of your relationship with Greg and like kind of what you feel like he brings to the band.
Man, where to start on that? I think Greg is my favorite drummer in the world.
He's incredible.
So it's truly a blessing to play with Dylan and Greg.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't choose two other people in the world to be playing music
and
with.
Like, I'm not trying to minimize you or Dylan here. Like Dylan's riffs and his licks that he plays on guitar, like totally amazing.
Yeah. So Greg and I have been playing together since we were kids. You know, as I mentioned, we're from the same small town, went to elementary, middle school, and high school together. And I think we started playing together in like 7th grade or something like that. And, you know, in his parents' garage.
That's irreplaceable.
And yeah, so I don't know. We've had literally our entire lives to kind of form that kind of chemistry with each other.
You two are Chris Hanna and George Samoleski.
That would be a very flattering comparison to make.
To me, it's a comparison like that I can't stop myself from making, whether it's accurate or not to the listeners out there. To me, it's accurate.
Yeah. I don't even know. Like, Greg is such a great drummer. I don't know what to say. Like, it's really just the culmination of countless hours just jamming.
Decades
of just. He used to play in this band called Beach Parade. It was based out of Ithaca, New York, kind of where we all grew up. And it was, you know, we spent our 20s in basements just jamming. And I don't know, if you do anything that long for that many hours and days and weeks and years and decades, you know, you get good at it, I guess.
Yeah. How did you and Greg come across Dylan?
So Dylan, I think Greg's band Beach Parade toured with Dylan's old band Longitude. So this would have been in the early 2010s sometime. Longitude, yeah, I remember Longitude was like, when we found them, they were from Binghamton, which is, you know, upstate, southern tier, New York State, like an hour away. I think we played a show together, maybe in Canandaigua, New York. I think is the story. I wasn't in Beach Parade. That was just Greg's deal. But it was, you know, we found this band that's like lives an hour away and blew our minds. This is the greatest band. And
yeah,
I think it had been ever since that tour with Beach Parade and Longitude happened. I think kind of Greg had it in his mind that it was like, one day we've got to play together. And Del Paxton started, I would say 2013 in Buffalo. I think we all just ended up in Buffalo and kind of realized like, oh, all the three of us are here. We should start a band. We hadn't been really playing music in bands for a few years, and kind of that get the band back together kind of scenario.
Yeah. You know, it's really funny. Whenever I moved here, I had an old neighbor who has now moved to East Aurora, but our houses backed up to each other, and we kind of realized by talking over the fence that we kind of were all like into punk and stuff like that. And he was talking about local bands that he really enjoyed. So I actually heard about Del Paxton from him before I met you, because he was like, yeah, there was this There's this local band called Del Paxton. They did a split with this band called Gulfer that I really like. And so I heard about you guys because of the Gulfer split. It's like maybe you could talk a little bit about like the chronology of releases that led up to Auto Locator too.
Yeah, Gulfer would have been the Gulfer split was our first proper. Our first record was Worst Summer Ever, and we self-released that on CD in 2013, summer 2013. It was just an EP. That EP, our friend Kyle from Rochester had a record label called Secret Audio Club. It's a very small, like boutique record label. He was kind enough to release Worst Summer Ever on vinyl. Just a 12-inch, 45 RPM 12-inch EP, which is a cool format. So anyway, that Worst Summer Ever came out. That caught the attention of Top Shelf Records, which is still the label we're working with to this date, like 10 years later.
Yeah.
Top Shelf reached out to us literally the day after we released Worst Summer Ever on vinyl.
Wow.
It's like, we love this record. Would you guys be interested in working together? A resounding hell yes from us.
Yeah.
It, ironically enough, happened to be like our favorite record label. Like, all these bands, Braid, Mock Orange, Toe.
Crazy.
Like some of our favorite bands.
Yeah. Braid singer Bob Nana has been on this podcast before.
He has.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. You get an email from your favorite record label. Do you guys want to work together? The answer is yes. And so that's when the Gulfer split kind of started coming together. I think we were at that point. We had a couple songs. We had those songs recorded and ready to go for some kind of release, and we had already been in the process of reaching out to bands with the idea of doing a split 7-inch. And I think Gulfer was on that short list of bands we wanted to work with, and when they heard that we were going to be putting this out on Top Shelf, that was a resounding hell yeah from them as well. And so we put that split 7-inch out. I think it came out spring of 2014, and it was awesome. It was like the first piece of music that we had put out on like a legit record label.
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun.
I love that. So what I want to know now, so I moved to Buffalo in 2018, and when I listen to Auto Locator now, there is so much Buffalo specific stuff and references and audio clips and like old radio broadcasts like embedded throughout the record. I wonder if you can tell me a little bit about the local importance of Auto Locator that you guys like wove throughout the entire record. Because it was so interesting to me listening and be like, oh, there's a Buffalo reference. Oh, there's something else. Oh my gosh, Grand Island. What in the world? Mm-hmm. Tell me a little bit about the local on this album.
Yeah, I think the first thing that comes to mind is in the track 100 Words for Snow, we've included a so in the 1960s, I don't know if you're familiar with the War of the Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a War of the Worlds, like a localized version of War of the Worlds to Western New York. It's like a audio drama that they put out on the radio.
Holy moly!
In the 60s, and it's kind of like a prank.
Yeah,
it's kind of people. It's a lot. I don't know where
it's like a meteor has hit Grand Island and stuff like that. It's so cool.
Yeah. So a guy that Dylan and I work with told us about this thing, and we did a little research and were able to find it on YouTube. And it was on WKBW. It was a local radio station that it came out on, and we found it on YouTube and just thought this is so cool. Like I think we all like individually had the idea of including it on the record. So when we found out we all individually had that idea, it was just a lot of fun to throw it on there.
I love it. What's your a couple of your favorite tunes on the record?
Let me take a look at the track list here.
Are you glad that I brought the props out?
Yeah, it's helpful.
Yeah.
I think my favorite song on Auto Locator is, let's see. I think Up With a Twist is my favorite song.
Nice. What about your favorite song on All Day, Every Day, All Night? Here's that one.
All right, let's take a look. I'm going to go with Loose Leaf on this guy.
Why is that?
I think it's dynamically the most wide-ranging dynamic song. It's got like that kind of slow downbeat, like clean guitar thing going on. Also got like the blown out high gain punk beat guitars.
Yeah.
I like whenever you can like include both of those, like both opposite sides of this dynamic spectrum in music on the same track is a lot of fun.
You know, we're going to chat about Propaganda here in a second, but Del Paxton is a dual vocalist band, kind of like Propaganda, you know, a trio like the Potemkin City Limits, Today's Empires, Years of Propaganda. Another double vocalist trio that comes to mind would be Buffalo's Goo Goo Dolls.
Oh, wow.
Also, the Lawrence Arms from Chicago.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about what your band enjoys about being a double lead vocalist band trio.
Oh man, we talk about this all the time. I think the power trio, right? That's like there's something about just having like one person per instrument, like that forces you to kind of, you know, be more intentional, you know, when you're writing parts and working together. You know, so having two guitars is awesome, but like, I feel like maybe adding the second guitar is kind of better done like after the fact. Like you've got your core three instruments working together, and you want like each member of the band to be like in charge of their own instrument there, and then adding a second guitar for more like decorations and more like to take up more sonic space can be fun. But there's something about just like three people, three instruments, kind of raw, stripped down.
Well, and I love the way it looks on stage. You know, when I'm looking at a live band, you know, Chris, my
oh, you kitty,
he's a bad man.
Come here, buddy.
Yeah, just pull his butt off there.
Got him on my lap here.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He loves to be in the way. Yeah, something about like looking at the way a trio looks on stage, like old Alkaline Trio shows, seeing Blink-182 obviously for years, and then those bands I mentioned earlier. I just love the way it looks on stage, how it's just spare. There's lots of space, and you know, whenever. And I love watching Greg's drumming so much that whenever there is a hugely visible space in the middle of the stage, I can more clearly watch him. So it's really awesome the way that you all are arranged on stage. Like, I think that actually is a huge benefit for your band. And Dylan's such a strong guitar player. His riffs are so good and catchy and technical that I don't miss the second guitar personally.
Yeah, me neither. And you know, you can do that stuff in the studio if you know, you can record as many tracks of whatever as you want in the digital age. But yeah, kind of speaking to like the reason we like to record to tape and you know, limit ourselves and how many tracks we're going to use is kind of the same principle at work there, I suppose.
How do you feel about the local New York scene, like from here to Ithaca, or is there anything you're excited about right now? I know that like being older, like I just turned 40, so it's like being like super aware of like local scenes and stuff like that. It gets a little more difficult as you get older and life speeds up and you have like families and careers and responsibilities and things like that. But I was just curious if there's anything that springs to mind about what you're excited about in the state of New York music scene right now. I'm
really excited right now about a band called Patchwork from Buffalo, which we just jumped on a show with them at the end of this month on the 28th. But old buddies of ours from Buffalo. Jesse's my boy. So they got new music coming out. I don't know how to describe them. They're kind of like a sort of like folk indie, kind of laid back, sort of chill band. Just like really great riffs and really like well composed songs and great parts and
sweet. I know Greg posted on when he was at a Patchwork show recently. I think he posted about it on Instagram, and he was like, Patchwork is my favorite new band coming up in Buffalo right now, so I'm excited to see them with you guys at the end of the month. I love that you're doing one more show before the end of the year.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun.
Well, Zach, what a nice little retrospective of your band, Del Paxton. I'm glad that we could, kind of break it down a little bit, talk about some of the eras of the band, talk about the specialness of the friendship with the three of you and some of the records that you've done. Auto Locator, fabulous, fabulous record. And I thought a lot about it, about my favorites of the year, and I did an honorable mentions list on a social media network that used to be called Twitter. I put you guys
not familiar.
Yeah, I put you guys like as my record of the year. So I'm hoping that some listeners out there who like Propagandy, but also like Braid, Hey Mercedes, Mock Orange, Sunny Day Real Estate, bands like that, I'm hoping that they will give you all a fighting chance, because it's so rewarding listening to your band. Just the little flares that pop up through the record that just, I'm in the car driving and I'm just like, oh yes, this is so fantastic. So I'm really excited for you guys right now, and I hope other people check it out as well.
Thanks a lot, man. That's much appreciated.
Yeah.
The response to the record so far has been really nice to hear the kind words from everybody, and we're happy to share it.
Do you guys have vinyl and stuff like that in stock still?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Cool.
Like we have some available at the merch table.
Awesome.
I think the vast majority of vinyl sales happen through the label on their web store.
Cool.
But yeah, we got some
sweet
to sell at shows.
Let's chat about Propagandy. How did you find Propagandy? How did you become a fan of this band? Because you got your Catastrophic Break with Consensus Reality T-shirt on right here, so you're deep in Propagandy lore. If you got the Catastrophic Break T-shirt on, so tell me a little bit of how you came across Propagandy and became a fan.
For sure, man. I don't know. Propagandy is my favorite band. Like,
me too.
Full stop.
Obviously.
Anytime I'm asked that question, what's your favorite band? I don't have to think about it. It's just easy answer. I don't know. I found them on the Fat Wreck comps. Man, those were, going back to the CD store era, in the 90s into the early 2000s, like those, there might be like an end cap at the CD store that has like, the punk CDs, and I know Fat Records was such a huge
cultural phenomenon
at the time.
Yeah.
Like not even in just like smaller punk circles, but like they really were mainstream, weren't they?
I mean, kinda. And I agree. Like, I would see Fat Records releases in the mall stores. I would see them in the indie stores and everything in between. So the smallest stores, the biggest stores, you could find at least one Fat Records album in those stores.
Yeah, and those comps, they're just ubiquitous. I remember the first Propagandy track I probably ever heard was on one of those. It had to have been Volume 2, Fat Wreck Volume 2.
Is that Survival of the Fattest with the green cover?
I don't remember, but I think it had Nation States was the Propagandy track on that one.
Sweet.
I remember like the name Propagandy sounded funny. It was like, oh, those two things put together, and I thought it was Propagandy, which is the traditional U.S. pronunciation of the band.
And I don't think that either one is wrong necessarily. It's come up so many times over the years, and it really cracks me up every time. But so many Canadian people that have been on the show also say Propagandy. So this is not, I've discovered that it's not just a south of the border phenomenon.
Right. Well, when I learned that the band pronounces it Propagandy, it was like, okay, well, that's the correct pronunciation.
Yeah.
And they can say that you can say it either way, but it's the way the band says it is the way it ought to be.
That's my exact philosophy, and that is why I have 100% converted to saying propagandy, and now it actually sounds hard to me to say propagandy. Like, it's harder for me to say it the old way now because I've said it propagandy so many thousands of times at this point.
Yeah, I get why you'd want to say Gandhi, because it's Gandhi.
Yeah, exactly.
Propaganda or Gandhi.
So how did your fandom develop after you discovered them?
So my familiarity with them kind of started and ended at these tracks that were on these fat comps back, in the late 90s. When Volume 6 came out, Back to the Motor League was the track on that.
Yeah.
And that was definitely my favorite Propaganda track at the time.
Yep.
When Today's Empires came out.
Yes.
I remember I had a promotional poster for Today's Empires hanging in my bedroom, in my high school bedroom. I just thought it looked so badass.
Yeah.
Like I probably bought some like Fat Records CD that came with it or something, and I remember I discovered Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes, that way, just in that Fat Records thing, and but I'd say my true moment of being like blown away and my fandom taken to the next level had to have started with Supporting Cast.
Yeah.
And then, after that, I kind of revisited the earlier stuff. And so, yeah, that was the biggest, like, early Propaganda memory for me were those Fat Rec comps.
Yeah, I loved those early records. I thought they were really good, but it didn't ever like supersede like Strung Out Twisted by Design for me. I was not a Propaganda obsessive until I started downloading leaked tracks from Today's Empires on Napster. Like I remember I downloaded Bullshit Politicians. Bullshit Politicians was the first song I heard from Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes, and it blew my mind. And then COINTELPRO got leaked, and then Back to the Motor League, Albright Monument, Baghdad, and I just could not believe what I was hearing. So Today's Empires was really my sonic conversion to understanding that Propaganda was like the band for me. Not Strung Out. Love Strung Out. I think they're absolutely incredible, and I love them to this day, but it was Today's Empires and those leaked tracks in 2000, 2001 that were just like, okay, this is what I am now. You know what I mean? Yeah. So whenever I invited you on the podcast, what I do with these like bonus episodes is I make people pick a 3 or 4 song top of the mountain, kind of like podium and maybe an honorable mention kind of thing. And you sent me a list that surprised me a lot because you chose all Failed States tracks. Tell me a little bit about what it is about Failed States that stands out to you so much.
So, as I was kind of getting at earlier, when the trajectory of their LPs, there's like a very clear. I think each LP kind of tells a very clearly defined story in the story arc of the band. Like you can tell like there's an obvious step of maturation between the early records like How to Clean Everything and Less Talk More Rock and getting into like there's a huge difference between those two and Potemkin City Limits and all Today's Empires, right?
Mm-hmm.
The band got way better. Like this is like any early punk band, just kind of figuring it out and growing up and getting better at their instruments and better at writing material and working together. And so I'd say for Failed States, they had already made this huge statement with Supporting Cast, right? Like, man, I don't know what year that was, 2009?
What, Supporting Cast?
Yeah.
2009, yeah.
2009.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when that came out, that, like, for me, that signified this new era Propaganda. Like, holy shit, when Night Letters, that opening track,
I remember exactly where I was when I heard it the first time.
Like, what's going on here? Like, I thought they were just kind of this like little punk band, but all of a sudden it's like, oh my God,
Powerhouse.
so much more than that. So I think supporting cast, I think that most people's take is that supporting cast is like, boom, new era. But Failed States, I think, maybe gets like, it kind of hides in the shadows a little bit for that reason, because it was the next one after.
Right.
It's kind of like a sophomore album. If you
Kinda.
think about it in those
The eras.
terms of the eras. So the most recent era, you might say Failed States was the sophomore LP.
I've never thought about it like that, but I love that interpretation.
Yeah, so like having to follow up supporting cast is like they've set such a high bar, and you might expect like a sophomore slump, right?
Yeah.
Like that phenomenon.
And they didn't go to the blasting room for Failed States like they did for supporting cast, so they changed up the production team as well, which is also kind of a risky move when you come off such a perfect record with such powerful sonic results at the blasting room on supporting cast,
It sounds to me like supporting cast is a pretty like polished sounding record. Like there's not any mistakes or like sonic impurities to speak of.
Right.
It's such a well recorded record. It kind of feels like with Failed States, maybe the idea was to like have a little bit more of a raw sounding record in terms of compression and EQ. And of course all the performances are flawless, and
right,
but and I think that may actually be true, and maybe in some of Chris Hanna's podcast episodes we might talk about how they wanted to kind of approach it a little differently, more of a raw, like a harsher sounding record.
Yeah.
Which I think they remastered, right?
They did, yeah.
They wanted to kind of clean it up a little bit. Sonically.
Yeah, so it's cool to have both versions too. Like I have both of them on vinyl, and it's kind of neat to go back and forth once in a while. Like whenever I was like way deep down my extraordinarily nerdy period in like 2020, 2021, when I first started the podcast, I was doing that kind of stuff regularly, comparing one track, switching the record, then listening to the second version, and like going back and forth like that. It was ridiculous.
Like set up two turntables and
kind of,
AD
yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And just seeing what the differences were. And so I'm really glad they did that, because I always love when there's two versions of the same thing.
Yeah.
Like
Taylor's version?
Yeah, I actually have 1989 Taylor's version on vinyl in the other room. But I love the Today's Empire's version 1 and version 2 that they did, where they changed they took out the samples, they had it redone and remixed and remastered by Jason Livermore, and they just so now you have the original version and then the second version. And I just love stuff like that. And I feel the same way about the Failed States remaster. I love that there's version 1, and I love that there's version 2.
Man, I love it too. I know that there's, different factions on the internet. There's like the more purist, like you can't touch it, it's already done.
Yeah.
This is the way I know it and love it.
Yeah.
And then there's like the people who don't care about that as much. And I think I might categorize myself as the latter. There's just so much more that you can hear going on. Like in this new remix, I can actually hear the bass riff that Todd wrote here. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I like that I can hear it now.
Yep.
But I also understand like the more purist idea too. Like, there is something like sacred about it, and you maybe don't mess with it.
Right.
Kind of idea.
So, so Failed States is not your favorite propaganda record?
I think maybe it is.
You share if it is, you share that with Keith, the original former co-host of the podcast.
It is his favorite.
It's his favorite record, yeah. I think by quite a lot too. Like he was like obsessed with this album.
Yeah, it would have to either be supporting cast or Failed States.
Depending on the day.
The impact that supporting cast had was just so powerful. Because they just went from, Potemkin City Limits amazing.
Of course.
In its own I mean, everything they've ever done is amazing, but supporting cast, they just skyrocketed to this whole new level. It's hard to like compare the feeling of listening to supporting cast for the first time and listening to Failed States for the first time, just because of, contextually what was going on. Like in the discography.
And I was just looking at the back of the vinyl here, and it's so funny that I forgot that this was even on here, but on the back of the LP, it still has the little A with pro-feminist, animal-friendly, anti-fascist, gay-positive on the lower left-hand corner of the LP jacket.
Oh, like where the record label graphic goes?
Yeah, see down there? I was like, oh my gosh, a hearkening back to the Less Talk era.
Yeah.
Right there on the bottom of the album.
I don't know if I've noticed this either.
Isn't that funny?
It's hard to notice anything on the back other than this Charlie Immer illustration here.
Yeah, what do you think about this artwork? The alien head splitter.
I love it. I think it reminds me of Duplicate Keys. The blood-brain barrier. You've got this guy tearing his skull open, and you can see all these nerve endings and stuff.
Man,
makes you think of the blood-brain barrier.
Wow. Okay, well, let's chat about Duplicate Keys, and let's go out of order here since you bring it up.
Okay, sure.
Duplicate Keys. Okay, so you chose Note to Self, Things I Like, Duplicate Keys. Do you have an order that you rank them, or are these like uncomparable, like they're all number one kind of thing for you? Because I want to talk about Duplicate Keys first, obviously, because I just said that. But do you have a ranking of the three?
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. Well, let's chat about Duplicate Keys.
All right.
Why did you choose Duplicate Keys Icaro, an interim report, as one of your three tracks to chat about on the podcast?
Let's see. When Chris Hanna released his podcast episodes about this song, I think it was like a 2-part podcast series about this song and his experience with the ayahuasca ceremonies.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that kind of piqued my interest in this song and kind of brought it up a notch. I guess just musically, I mean, it's just there's so much going on. It's so fast and so hard and so precise, and it's just that's the main thing. Like, just you put the music on, just like stop listening to me talk about it and just put it on and just listen to what's going on. Yeah, sorry.
Some of the fills from Jord on the song are so bizarre, and it's like, how can you even play this live kind of thing? But then whenever I went to Winnipeg for those Canadian Thanksgiving weekend shows in 2021, I got to see the sound check on night 3, and Chris is like, hey, I have something for you. Come to sound check, and I'll chat with you after sound check. So I watched them play sound check, and I watched them play Duplicate Keys Icaro like 4 times in a row. Just me in the room, like by myself with the band and their sound guy. And I'm just like, I'm like trying to like, I was like in this little mezzanine area in the Park Theater in Winnipeg, like trying to hide behind a post so like I wouldn't be like a distracting, like obviously like just like watching the fact that I was like alone in this room watching this song. And it was just such a bizarre experience to be like, I'm trying to like hide to not be seen while they're playing one of the best songs they've ever written like 4 times in a row at soundcheck.
That's got to be bizarre. That must have been awesome.
Imagine like you guys were sound checking and I'm like standing in the room like watching you sound check, where you're just trying to dial in for a show and there's like this one person just standing there watching you. I was like trying to like not be seen. It was a very bizarre experience for me. But do you have like what does this song like make you think about with like your own life? Like as far as like the lyrics go and the content of the lyrics, does it make you like kind of contemplate or ponder anything in particular with regards to like your own life?
Yeah, I mean, on first listen, you kind of gather that it's about some kind of psychedelic experience, and it's. I think, I mean, to bring the conversation into kind of a new area here, I think it's important for people to have, positive psychedelic experiences.
Mm-hmm.
in like a safe and productive way.
Yeah.
And whether that be psilocybin, LSD, DMT in this
Mm-hmm.
case, it can, I best case scenario, I think it can show a person that feeling of interconnectedness with everything and everyone,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of unlock a person's imagination.
Mm.
I remember, I don't know, I've had my own experiences,
Yep,
mostly
same.
like kind of dumb, crazy party, like abusing the substance
Mm.
compared to like what it ought to be used for. Just taking mushrooms as a shitty 16-year-old
And
at a
being at
house
a party.
Yeah. I mean, I remember having an experience as a 16-year-old on mushrooms, just kind of laying out in the snow underneath a big willow tree and
Wow.
and a t-shirt and just
Wow,
like
that's dangerous.
I think I had like a bow tie on or t-shirts and shorts or something,
Amazing.
but just like kind of looking up and just having this inexplicable feeling of just unlimited kind love and warmth and understanding that everything is one and love is all that matters,
Yeah.
and just kind of unlocking the imagination and causing one to like truly reflect on the meaning of experience, and I think there's a big difference. It's a rite of passage. It's literally a ritual, and it has been an important part of human experience for as long as human experience has been happening. And I think it's like a marker. It's like kind of marks, entering into adulthood and just kind of expanding a person's spiritual experience of existence.
Yeah, mine was my rite of passage main one that stands out. There's been a couple, but the main one was being in Amsterdam in the Netherlands, where these things are legal and they're very easy to get. You walk into a store and you buy a container of fresh mushrooms, psychedelic mushrooms, like out of a cooler in a store, and they're fresh, like grown, right? And I did them with my friend, and we went to the Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam, where there are hundreds of Van Gogh paintings in the building. And we just went from painting to painting and watched the paintings be alive in front of our very eyes. And it was, oh man, one of the top 5 days of my entire life, ever, to this day. And it was one of the most powerful experiences imaginable to have my friend pull on my t-shirt and say, Greg, you've been at that painting for like 15 minutes. You should come to the next one so that we don't draw attention to ourselves and get thrown out by security. And but it was just so powerful because I would be like watching a scene, like Van Gogh did these like paintings that were kind of like Japanese in style, and like seeing like the painting just be alive in front of my eyes and like envisioning the life stories of the characters in the paintings and like create like this narrative in my head while watching these scenes in these paintings essentially become a movie to me as a 19 or 20-year-old was absolutely unbelievable, because it got me to think differently about art and culture and music and things like that as life stories, not products. You know what I mean? And so whenever I see this is almost like an autobiography of certain moments in Chris's life. So even though it's not written like I went to this address on this day and did this, it's written as in this way with the lyrics. But it's basically an alternate style of telling an autobiographical moment, you know?
What you just mentioned about like works of art being, markers of a story, of a life experience, as opposed to material for consumption, like that really just kind of sets something off for me. Like maybe like in a best case scenario, like a young person having their first psychedelic experience could be like an analog for that. Like rather than being the consumer, you're something bigger than that. You're just a part. You're at one with everything instead of just being here to buy shit. And
Yeah. Well, and that's like going back to our conversation earlier about like your band and your friendship with Dylan and Greg, and like just describing the importance of the room in the studio in Trumansburg. Like that's like those things that like those are autobiographical moments that lead to this other thing, which is a depiction of a moment in an autobiography. And that to me is like what Duplicate Keys Icaro does really well as a song. Is it is an autobiographical experience written in a way that is slightly different than if you wrote it as like an essay to come out in like a book collection or an autobiography or a memoir, you know?
Yeah.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on Duplicate Keys that you were thinking about that I didn't ask you that you wanted to say?
Man, I don't know. I feel kind of dumb just trying to even like talk about it.
It's hard, isn't it?
It's just so. I mean, the thing I have the most to say is just stop listening to me talk about it and just listen to it. I don't. There's not really much to say.
I love it. So we talked about the closer, Duplicate Keys Icaro. You also chose the opener, Note to Self. Now, I'm going to give you a little context here for my thinking about Note to Self. Whenever I listen to supporting cast, you have no idea how much I wish that Come to the Sabbath was not on supporting cast, because fading out Last Will and Testament and then immediately click. So say I made a playlist on my computer, and I have Last Will and Testament that fades right into Note to Self on my computer with Come to the Sabbath cut out. I cut it out and I made two files and I had them bleed into each other. Last Will and Testament into Note to Self is one of the most unbelievably rewarding transitions that you can do if you fade out Last Will and Testament and then the fade in of Note to Self comes in. One of the most rewarding propaganda listening experiences that any of us can have. So to me, that transition from supporting cast into failed states with those two songs is astoundingly important. That is what really jumps out at me about my thinking about Note to Self right now. So tell me a little bit about why you chose Note to Self as one of your three tunes.
Well, I can't imagine why you wouldn't like to have Come to the Sabbath in there too. I mean, I think it's a
It should have been a standalone single. Release it, but do it as a single like they did I'm a Rifle, stuff like that, where it's just like a standalone single, Free John Hinckley.
Yeah.
Do it like that. So I talked about this on the episode for Come to the Sabbath at length, and it annoys me so badly that it doesn't just fade out on Last Will and Testament and then go right into Note to Self. Like I'm angry about it.
I've got to do this as a little project.
You have
I'd like
to.
to hear this, like the fade out, because the Last Will and Testament
Fades
does,
out.
in fact, fade out.
And Note to Self fades in.
Yeah.
So it is profoundly good. Honestly, if they did a Last Will and Testament, if they pressed Last Will and Testament and Note to Self just on one side of a vinyl, like as a 45 12-inch, 45 RPM 12-inch, it would be maybe the greatest 1-2 ever in propaganda.
I wonder if they're in the same key.
That's a good question, actually.
Listen to this.
Yeah. Anyway, so there's my tangent. Tell me about your Note to Self appreciation and why you picked it.
So when I listened to Failed States for the first time, it was like, okay, they'd set the bar here with supporting cast. What are they going to do with Failed States? Like, how do you match that? And I don't know. In my opinion, they bested it. Like they took it to a new level. So with Note to Self, the opening track is just, I don't know, this kind of meandering, epic, sort of like ambient, ethereal kind of song. I feel like an opener should either be like really like hard hitting, heavy, just immediate.
Night Letters, Mataka.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or it should be the opposite. It should be like a true like ease you into it.
Yeah.
It's cool that like on Failed States and Supporting Cast they did both of those things. I don't know. So Failed States was 2012.
Yep.
Is that right?
It was their shortest album turnaround time, by the way, between Supporting Cast and Failed States. Maybe they were faster between How to Clean Everything and Let's Talk More Rock, but I'm not really sure. But this was not that long of a turnaround for them, especially when you think about the fact we're going to be going on like 6.5 years here soon.
Wow.
Painful.
So I'm thinking about like where I was and what I was doing when I heard Failed States for the first time. And so in 2012, we're like going into the second Obama term. I was in my early 20s. Yeah, I just love the way it just kind of eases you into the listening experience, and it just sounds really intentional, like just really well composed, really like a truly epic musical composition.
Have you ever seen them play this song live before?
No, I don't think so.
Interesting. It's really unbelievable live.
I saw them play once in Pittsburgh. I think it was after the Victory Lap had come out.
Is there anything in particular you like about the lyrics of this tune?
Yeah, I remember lyrically what kind of sticks out to me the most about it is like the line, how does it make you feel to know that you voted for this? And so you're thinking about like the first Obama term, the presidential campaign before the first Obama term. There's lots of messaging about hope and change, and they're hitting all the right notes, getting the youth excited about voting and political activism, and they really activated young millennials at the time to show up and vote for this Democratic Party candidate.
Yeah.
Which kind of sets us up for some major disillusionment. So you're halfway between Obama's 2 terms as a president, and the first one, what did we see? I mean, we'd already been through the invasion of Iraq, this catastrophic military event of the invasion of Iraq, into Afghanistan with Obama, and you're just kind of realizing that it's maybe not all the hope and change we thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Well, whenever Jeremy Scahill started documenting the undeclared war drone strikes of the Obama presidency, I was just kind of like, and that disillusionment for me was pretty profound whenever I watched the effort to, get universal health care for Americans, whenever I watched that flop, and whenever I was seeing like drone strikes in like, Yemen, and like a U.S. citizen and like was killed by a drone strike in Yemen and stuff like that. And it was just like, oh. So I bought it. I bought a lot of that stuff, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it was a really tough experience to realize that, oh, gosh darn it. And I didn't really know how to think about it or feel about it at the time at all. So I had those exact same kinds of experiences as you.
Yeah, you'd like to think that in a functioning democracy, your vote matters.
Yeah.
That like the dichotomy of, the Republican Party and Democratic Party might be like a little bit more, the difference between those two options might be a little more meaningful.
Yeah. Something else that really stands out to me is I've been thinking about this a lot lately, about like the last line, rise, okay? Why don't we as a society collectively rise? And I kind of realized that it's because I feel like the point of power in the US is to exhaust the population. Like, think about how much time you wait on hold to dispute a charge for a parking ticket with a city bureaucracy, how much time you sit waiting on hold to dispute a charge on like a health insurance plan. Like, I feel like so much of our society is everybody having their time wasted with so much little frivolous stuff that we are so tired that we don't actually have the power to collectively unite because we're just trying to recover from like the little exhausting banalities in society. So whenever it's like rise, it's like, but I'm so tired. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think about this kind of stuff a lot. Like, why don't we actually make a better society whenever so many people that I know are so cool and so smart and thoughtful and informed and educated and have goals of what the future would look like for them to have a better life. But then it's like, I'm so exhausted. I'm going to watch the Bills game now. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. It's just I guess a product of capitalism, right? Like your time and money, your resources being used to kind of against you.
Yeah.
I used to think of money as kind of the most important thing in capitalism, but really it's time. Right?
Yeah.
You're getting paid for your time
Yep.
laboring, depending on its supposed value, and it's kind of zero sum situation. There's only so much time, only so much money.
Yeah. Well, and I'm grateful to you for doing this thing with me, because both of us could be out delivering for DoorDash right now. You know what I mean? Instead of sitting here in my living room with my cats annoying me relentlessly with their busyness while we're trying to do important business here. But yeah, it's such a great tune. It's such a sonic standout and such a sonic outlier. Whenever Chris has talked about it on his podcast about when Beeve joined the band, it's like they realize that, like, whoa, we really can do whatever we want. We can pull off anything. This song is one of those moments where it's like we really can pull off anything. You know what I mean?
What a great example too of like talking about adding that second guitar to like with the power trio. You've got, it's really economical. You've got each band member with their instrument getting the most they can out of it, and then adding the second guitar. So now you can have this like stereo, this more symmetrical, balanced out stereo situation.
What's the deal with that whistling sound? Is that an ebow at the beginning of the song? It's like woo, that whistling sound at the beginning of the song when the second guitar comes in. That's like an ebow or something, right?
I'm not sure.
That's that whistling sound. It's like woo.
I think that's a guitar feeding back.
Okay, it's just feedback. It's not like a specific like instrument or piece of gear.
I don't know. We'll have to listen back to it. I actually just listened to it on my way over here. I think it's just one note droning out with a bunch of effects, but I'm not. I could be wrong about that.
Interesting. Okay, cool. But I love that. I love that whistling sound, and I think I talked about it I probably talked about that whistling intro guitar for like 10 or 11 minutes on the episode whenever we made like a 4-hour episode about this song ages ago. I just can't remember. I don't remember what's on this podcast and what isn't at this point. I have said so many things that it's like horrifying to think about, like the fugue state I go in whenever I make some of these episodes, where it's like all of a sudden the episode's out and I have like almost no memory of what the process was like going into it, because I just like click into this other realm of my brain, and then before you know it, the podcast is out and I'm like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a very bizarre experience to not remember a lot of the creative process of making the podcast.
It's okay. Just don't think about it.
I try not to. Let's chat about a fun one now to bring us in for a landing here today. You chose Things I Like, which is a song that Keith and I felt like we kind of didn't do enough justice on the podcast. We only made like a 45-minute episode about this song, like way back when. There was no cover, there was no interview. So in a way, you right now will be Things I Like Part 2, which is really exciting to me because it's a song that I love. It is awesome. The narration of the guest vocals on the song are performed by who is now the premier of Manitoba, Wab Canoe, the premier of the province of Canada, is the First Nations narration on the song, which is wild. He's basically like the governor of New York. He's that for Manitoba.
No kidding.
No kidding. Isn't that crazy? So the person doing the narration at the end of the song is Wab Canoe, who is now in charge of the entire province of Manitoba, where Propaganda lives.
Wow. So that's the Algonquin language spoken word part at the end there?
Crazy, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, why did you choose Things I Like for your third song?
It's hilarious. I really appreciate about Propaganda that they're, I don't know, you're getting into failed states. It's so bleak. It's so dark. It's so putting you in touch with just kind of this like almost nihilistic feeling about, the current events, the way the geopolitical situation has panned out and Western civilization, and what can you do other than have a little bit of a laugh? And I really appreciate that they dedicated a whole song to kind of just, a little bit of comic relief here.
Yeah.
It's like maybe he was thinking like most of what I write about is things I don't like.
And it's so dense. The album is so dense and dark and pummeling and relentless that to have an actual laugh in the middle of it is, I agree, cool.
Yeah. Things I like. Kurt Russell is Captain Ron.
Yeah. Did you see that movie growing up?
A long time
Same.
ago, yeah.
It's been years.
Yeah. No, but I really appreciate that because, what is there really to do other than have a little laugh? And I guess I also like all of the things that he says he likes. I went through the song, like there's this list of things he likes. Yeah. There's nothing I can say I don't like that he likes, except the Maple Leafs. I actually hate the Maple Leafs as a lifelong Sabres fan.
The Buffalo hatred of the Maple Leafs is so fun.
Yeah, the QEW rivalry there.
Mm-hmm. And what's crazy about the Maple Leafs and the Sabres too is that Sabres season ticket holders can sell their tickets to Leafs Sabres games for so much money to people from Ontario who can't afford or get tickets to see them at Scotiabank up in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like this big thing in Buffalo to where if you have tickets to a Maple Leafs game, you can sell it for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to Leafs fans so that whenever the Leafs are here, it actually feels like a Leafs home game, and it's actually pretty disgusting.
Oh, my God. It makes me sick. That entire lower bowl is just blue jerseys, blue and white jerseys. I was actually disappointed to learn that Chris was a Leafs fan. I figured maybe he'd be a Jets fan, but I also feel like the Leafs are kind of like this. I know some professional sports franchises seem like most of their fan base is more kind of working class. Like there's like blue collar teams and white collar teams.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Leafs are kind of a white collar team.
I mean, look at the prices to live in Toronto these days.
Yeah, the Sabres are like the blue collar team. I feel like
for sure. And my hometown team, St. Louis Blues, I felt like they were like that for a long time as well. So I kind of felt like a kinship between the Sabres and the Blues for a long time growing up when I was like really into hockey.
Yeah, that's awesome. Brett Hull and all
dude,
those guys.
Those years with the Blues, Brett Hull, Adam Oates, Scott Stevens, Curtis Joseph, Al McInnes, Craig Janney, Brendan Shanahan. I mean, it was like so much talent and power came through that St. Louis Blues team in those years, and not a single championship to show for it until like 2018 or 19, when they won it finally, and a total fluke. It was an insane experience growing up with those teams in those years. Just like, like the Danny Briere, Pat LaFontaine teams, Dominic Hasek years, like all those years up here were just pretty special as well. Like that, like didn't the Sabres win the President's Trophy in like 2007? They went through a period where they were a powerhouse.
Yeah, it was during those Briere Drury years.
They'll be back.
But backtrack a little bit. Brett Hull ended up getting his cup with the Stars.
Yeah, didn't he win with Detroit too?
I don't know, but what comes to mind is the 2001 or the 99-2000 series that the finals were Buffalo versus Dallas, and Brett Hull got his overtime
Disgusting.
Stanley Cup winning illegal goal that was allowed to stand.
Disgusting.
Truly disgusting. I'm nauseated just thinking about it.
And as a person who grew up cheering for Brett Hull, like I knew about that goal, and now living in Buffalo, like looking back, it just kind of makes me puke a little bit.
And he knows too.
Oh, God, yes.
The way he jokes about it in the media is just like, I don't know how he sleeps at night.
Yeah, well, and Brett Hull, to talk a little more trash, during the Blues Cup run a couple years ago, there were just like videos being posted of Brett Hull like walking around St. Louis in the middle of the night, just drunk out of his mind, like during the Stanley Cup Finals a couple years ago. So, yeah, my thoughts and feelings about Brett Hull have shifted over the years for sure.
I hope he's miserable.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So screw you, Brett Hull, for your illegal Dallas Stars Stanley Cup victory over the Buffalo Sabres.
I hope he's not I hope he's not able to enjoy that Stanley Cup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you, man. As a now a tried and true Buffalonian myself,
I remember being 13 years old,
watching that
in my living room, and just being so. Maybe that was like a formative Buffalo sports fan moment.
Oh,
or
totally.
Traumatic incident.
Yeah, of which there are so many,
Yeah.
Including this current Buffalo Bills season, which is blowing my mind to smithereens. But also, growing up in St. Louis during all the Bills Cowboys Super Bowl years, like every single year, we'd be going to a Super Bowl party. Every single year, it was the same two teams, and every single person at the party was like, "Go Bills!" in St. Louis in the early 90s. Like, I just have these vivid memories of being a kid going to these Super Bowl parties and everybody being 100% Bills, and then it's just like, it's just so Buffalo.
I remember those, maybe the 1994 Bills-Cowboys Super Bowl was my earliest sports memory. I remember my parents had a bunch of friends over for that Super Bowl, and I was, kind of too young to really understand football or know what was
the
really
rules
going on.
Yeah,
but I'm sure that the traumatic energy of that incident kind of like left a little bit of a mark.
Yeah, so the name of this song, Things I Like. Things I Don't Like, Brett Hull's Stanley Cup winning goal, Buffalo Bills trauma. So there's a nice little antithesis to the song title itself. I love it.
I'd like a propaganda track on their next LP to be Things I Don't Like.
Yeah, I mean, you could just make a playlist of every single one of their records, basically, at that point. It's like, yeah, here's a 4-hour playlist called Things I Don't Like, the best of propaganda, and it's just every single one of their records, like with a couple of tracks omitted, like just in a row.
Yeah.
Starting off with the song Ska Sucks, track 1.
I guess I also don't like Grace Under Pressure. I don't know. When I heard how much Chris loves Rush.
Yeah.
I tried to give Rush a little bit of a second listen. And
Mm-hmm.
like my favorite band's favorite band. I ought to be able to get down with that. I just still can't really get into it.
Did you check out a lot of Chris's other favorite bands ever? Like he talks like so often in the media or in interviews over the years about Sacrifice, Razor, Voivod, Venom. Like
Sacrifice.
Did you ever listen to any of those bands and give them a go?
Yeah. Same thing. Like I ought to, it's just not my thing.
I think Sacrifice is my favorite of all the bands he's ever listed. And we had Joe and Rob from Sacrifice on the podcast a long time ago. But the fact that Sacrifice wasn't listed in the 80s alongside Slayer, Anthrax, Metallica, and Megadeth is a real shame to me, because to me they are just as good as all of those other American thrash bands. It's just that they were from Ontario,
Yeah.
So I am a Sacrifice stan hardcore at this point. I've got their records on vinyl in the other room. I also own Chris's personal copy of Voivod Dimension Hatros on vinyl. When he sold all of his records a few years ago, I allowed myself one purchase of Chris's record collection, and I bought that Voivod Dimension Hatros record.
That's awesome. I remember when he was doing that, I took a perused the catalog a little bit. I was like, it'd be cool to have one of these. But a lot of 80s Canadian thrash metal, just like stuff I had no idea about.
And what was really interesting too about my purchase of that Voivod record is the shipping was set at a standard of $40 to ship the records, 40 Canadian. But I was really oh my God, I can't believe I'm going to spend $40 to have a Voivod record shipped to my house. But then what was really cool about the person who did it, everything is Eye and Ear Control in Winnipeg was handling the sales, and they refunded a huge amount of the shipping to me whenever they did not nearly hit that $40 shipping rate. So that was cool of them. So shout out to Eye and Ear Control Records in Winnipeg. That was a good time. Zach, any other thoughts on things I like from your notes there?
Oh, things I like. I don't know. I like all of those things except for Rush and the Maple Leafs, and so you can call me an international reviler of the Maple Leafs, perhaps.
Dude, that is awesome. What does propaganda kind of mean to you as a big picture kind of thing within your own life?
Well, they're my favorite band. I feel I can put any of those records on at any given moment and find something new to appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly talking about from today's empires onward chronologically.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that I don't like the earlier stuff. I just, there's, I think, more to like about the later stuff.
Mm-hmm.
When I learned that Jord never repeats the same drum fill.
Isn't that interesting?
I think that was when I learned that, I think my respect level just shot through the roof. That, I don't know, that just reminds me so much of, there was a episode of Chris's podcast where they're talking about that, I think, about how Jordan never repeats the same drum fill. And it, just got me thinking about music composition and, kind of the spirit that you approach music composition with, and, what are you really trying to do with this music, and what is, the motivating driving force behind it. And I think just the idea of not phoning anything in and having as much chaos and order coexisting simultaneously as possible. It would be so much easier for a drummer to just copy and paste the yeah. And just when you are approaching a recording project, you could, just kind of copy and paste sections here and just have there be some symmetry, and here's the bridge, verse, chorus, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
really linear, straightforward thing. But I don't know, if you're recording a song, you can do anything. You don't have to ever repeat anything.
I feel like your band, you guys capture the spirit of that philosophy as well in your own writing. Do you kind of feel like that when you're putting together songs? Do you ever think about that and the impact of what these guys are doing on what your creative process is like in your own songwriting?
I think we absolutely do. I remember when we first started out, we were all at a time in our lives where we had been on a little bit of a break from playing in bands, and we were kind of reapproaching playing in bands as like, this is just going to be fun.
Yeah.
Like, we're really going to approach being in a band with like a very fresh kind of youthful energy. There's the only reason we're doing this is to have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And to challenge ourselves and push ourselves. There are no other motivating factors here.
Yeah.
And when it comes to music composition, having that kind of like ethos it's crucial. I think it's really easy to tell when a band is just kind of full of shit.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of in it for just the wrong reasons.
Right.
You know, like, here's this like kind of crappy song we phoned in. We just kind of copy and pasted sections, and the lyrics suck. But like, you know, spending all of our time on social media promoting and trying to get attention. But I feel like propaganda is kind of the antithesis of that.
Yeah.
And although we are not a punk band per se, I think we embody the punk ethos kind of in our musical composition.
To me, you guys are a punk band.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, you even have a fast song on Auto Locator.
Yeah. Loose Leaf also has a punk beat in it too.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Love it. Well, Zach Shadle, Del Paxton, Auto Locator, my 2023 record of the year that I really hope that everybody out there listening will now listen to after listening to this conversation. Real thrill to have you here to, drive 3 miles from your house to my house and do this in person. These in-person interviews, we didn't really talk about this, but the in-person ones are kind of rare for me, and they're pretty special when they happen because it removes the recording on Zoom crosstalk technological glitch to where it's like, oh, wow, we're just regular people having a face-to-face conversation, and we don't necessarily always have to do it one certain way. So this is a really special one for me to add to my very limited in-person recording experiences for the podcast. Some of my favorite ones. So, Zach, thank you so much for being here and chatting about the history of Del Paxton, the new record, failed states, propaganda. Means a lot, man.
Yeah, it was honor to be here, and I really appreciate you having me.